Every time there's a fire in an encampment in Olympia, the Clean Air Agency shows up because people complain about their air quality and continues to look at enforcement action even on our houseless population.
Hey guys, check this out.
What is it?
It's someone in.
Why not install barriers now to make sure that safety for patients who are also vulnerable people is addressed immediately?
The short answer is the place where we want to put the barriers is where the RVs are now. So the barriers are going to be placed within the parking lane to prevent, again, from future parking from happening there. So until we can get the vehicles moved out to the Carpenter Road site, we don't have the ability to put the barriers in place.
The Ensign Road site is littered with trash. Is there a plan to deal with the health hazard related to that? And how will the management prevent the new site from becoming littered as well?
So kind of two parts here, in City of Olympia might also want to jump in for the part with Ensign Road, but for as far as where folks are right now, the City of Olympia holds a part of the contract for supporting the site with like garbage management, portable restrooms, all of that. We collaborated with the City of Olympia and the residents to do a really successful cleanup a few weeks ago. And of course, the ongoing work is like maintaining that cleanliness and maintaining those expectations, which absolutely is an ongoing process. But our understanding and with our partners, the City of Olympia and residents, is to be continuing to do that work with regular cleanups, more provision of cleaning supplies, and also, stepping up more accountability measures as far as how folks are handling garbage on site. Residents are a huge part of that, as well as supporting the site and coming up with accountability measures, expectations, community agreements, all of that. At the new site, of course, as Keely already mentioned, a huge difference will be the fact that we have 24/7 staffing support every day. That alone will make the greatest difference, because that means having staff on site 24/7 to support the residents in adhering to the code of conduct, which includes the expectation that sites are kept clean and tidy. There'll be a dumpster on site, and has been mentioned, that'll be emptied multiple times. And we'll also have our staff being able to support residents that may be less physically able to move their garbage. Again, as mentioned, a lot of folks are older and have some physical limitations, but we'll be providing that support and providing supplies to make sure that people can upkeep cleanliness in their personal spaces.
Can you explain the specific accountability for site rule violations? How are they determined? Why, who, etc.? Would affected neighbors have input to that? And what happens when these codes of conduct are not followed and violated, and the residents don't follow the accountable measures? Who will be enforcing the removal of these individuals from the site, and how will that legally be accomplished?
Starting with the specific accountability measures. So like I said, a lot of that will depend on like the rule that is violated. For example, somebody who has an issue with keeping their space clean may not be kicked out of the site that first time, but may be expected to sign a behavior agreement or action plan, committing to them changing that in order to be able to stay at the site. And then at the point, if they were not able to do that, then other steps would be considered. Whereas for code of conduct violations related to something like violence or destruction of property are much more likely to lead to immediate questioning whether that person should continue staying on the site or expulsion. So that's how that'll be determined, and that'll be also in partnership with, when it comes down to it, it's OLYMAP that will be responsible for guaranteeing site safety and ensuring adherence to the code of conduct. We also, though, just as part of our approach, really do what we can to involve residents in that, especially because, they are living there, and really it is very important to them that the site is safe and stable, and they also want to see other people living there adhering to those codes of conduct. So they will be involved in determining, if folks are at a point where they need to be asked to leave the site. As far as if somebody gets to the point of needing to be expelled from the site, we would need to be relying on our partners for that. As OLYMAP, we may have the ability to trespass people, but we don't have the ability to like forcibly remove somebody from the property. So of course, that would be the point where we would have to bring in our other partners, and maybe we can hand that off to the county or the sheriff's department to talk about that piece.
Captain Johnson, anything to add to that?
We'll assist how we can, but we have to follow the laws that are in place, and there may have to be an eviction process that occurs.
What about all the homeless encampment all over and constantly causing fires and violence? Is this being addressed? This is a pretty general question. There's maybe several people on the panel tonight that could potentially answer that. City of Olympia, Keeley.
So I can speak to what our office does, which is contract with homeless service providers that are acting under the strategies of our state-approved 5-year homeless crisis response plan. So yes, in that we have, as far as our office, we can account for in our office, you know, we have contracted outreach workers outside of Olympia Mutual Aid Partners that are engaging with residents in all of the encampments in order to fast track them, hopefully into some kind of housing project or any other service that they might need. So on the service delivery side, that is occurring in all of the encampments. It's a fairly collaborative, it's a very collaborative, fairly coordinated effort on that side. So what my office can address.
Shelley, I would just offer that the City of Olympia has a full-time homeless response coordinator. We have allocated funding out of our American Recovery plans to support the scattered site efforts that are underway. We want to continue to work in partnership with the county on all the sites the scattered site is serving. I think it's important to recognize that the scattered site program and OLYMAP are supporting more than just this location with their work. Case management is an active part of the work that they're doing. We are working at as fast a pace as I think is even possible to get people served and to get them into other alternatives. You know, I'll land where I began, in that this is a huge problem that's much bigger than any one jurisdiction or any of us really together can solve. It needs more assistance at the state level. We need more assistance around substance abuse facilities and mental health facilities. Those are not problems that cities and the county can solve by themselves. And so, again, it is a large problem. It is straining resources, but we have all dedicated resources to this and are committed to continue that dedication of resources as long as we need to both serve people humanely and protect the community at the same time.
Thank you so much.
And Kaylee, I'll also add, I'm the chair of the Clean Air Agency. And so every time there's a fire in an encampment in Olympia, the Clean Air Agency shows up because people complain about their air quality and continues to look at enforcement action, even on our houseless population. And we continue to keep that under control as much as we possibly can.
Why no panel representation, input, or response from the City of Lacey tonight on this plan? And I will answer that the City of Lacey was invited to participate. They were unable to send a representative to participate on the panel tonight, but they did provide written comment, which will be available on the Regional Housing Council website as well. If a resident is expelled or merely leaves, where will they go, and will they be allowed to set up camp in Lacey? Keeley, do you want?
I can.
Hi, thank you.
Yeah. So unfortunately, that's the outcome that one of the things that we all have to deal with whenever somebody is expelled from any shelter, camp, mitigation site, is the question of where they will go from there. I can say that OLYMAP will be doing everything within our own power to make sure that if somebody's expelled from the site, that they're connected with another place to go, that we would be relying on our relationships with other providers, other camp communities, et cetera. But outside of that, if there are no spaces, it is hard to know where people will go. And people usually, but I would say most folks that we see do try to go where people are already staying, but we will do everything we can to make sure that somebody's connected to another place, knowing that oftentimes that will not be possible.
That's all I have for you today. If you do have any questions or comments about this, please put them below. If you like this video and would like to see more like it, please subscribe. And as always, have a nice day.